Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rowena. If you don't know me, I am your boss babe queen and I am the owner of this channel. If you guys don't know, I have a second channel called Styled by Rowena. So that's where I do my makeup and anything fashion and beauty related. So head over to that channel. You can see me slay this hair. Yes, I installed this hair myself. And you can see me do the makeup and everything, right? You can check out all my other makeup and hair videos as well. So in today's video, I thought I'd do an episode of the Boss Babe series. Right, so in this episode, I'll be really just telling you the process of getting your driver's license in the UK and like some tips that I wish someone told me before and stuff like that, right? I was gonna split this video in two. I was gonna do the theory and then I was gonna do the practical, but I feel like there are a lot of other videos out there that do that. So if you guys want to see in-depth video, or if you want to hear me do an in-depth video on one of the topics that I bring up in this video today, you can feel free to drop it in the comment section, all right? However, this video, I thought I'd just do like an overview of both, in one. So if you're interested, continue watching. Firstly, you know that you'd have to have applied for your provisional license, right? So you apply for your provisional license, you go on DVSA, whatever, you go on the website and you go through the process. The government website actually has all the steps that you need to do. So you'd go there, apply for your provisional license, and it comes, mine really came quickly. Mine came like within a week or less than a week, to be fair. So it comes fairly quickly. All right, so after you've done that, then have your license number and stuff like that. So you're able to now book a theory test. You'd go on the government website. Some people use other websites and stuff like that. I would suggest going to the legitimate government website. You can then book in your test for yourself. So they would ask you to probably put in your postcode and they will bring up all the test centers that are close to you. And then you can choose the test center that you want to go. Especially now because of COVID and because of the backlog that that happened when everybody's test was cancelled and stuff like that, you might find that waiting time is like months. So you can book it in advance, and because you can change the test dates, they will tell you when's the last day that you can actually change the test. So even if you're not ready for this, you can change it, but do go ahead and book it. Don't delay it. So you book it, right? And then you start studying. I studied via an app. So there's some people who bought books and who bought this and who bought all sorts. I studied via an app, a free app. I did not pay a dime. Only money I paid for my theory is to actually book the theory test itself, right? So I did not pay to study. I didn't buy books, none of that. An app is what I use and I pass, and then YouTube videos as well. So I'll pop up the app just over here. Have a screenshot of the app that I use. It is amazing. It's the one I recommend to my friend when I told her to book hers, and she did, and she's been studying off it. That's what I passed with, because they have like mock tests and stuff, which is really, really, really good for it. And then obviously once you feel ready now and your test day has come up, you would have gone to the test center and done it. Due to COVID, I know there were certain changes. So for example, you have to wear a mask, and if you go there and you don't have a mask, you might be turned back. But obviously, because that is now changing, obviously it depends on your health requirements or if you have exemptions to it and stuff. But definitely they do check up your test center rules, because every test center might have a different rule depending. So check those out and make sure that you're prepared. Make sure that you go with the relevant documents that you have or that you require. As I said, all of this will be in the confirmation email that they send to you. They will tell you what to carry, and you can always just go and have a refresher on YouTube video. Make sure that you stay calm. I know it is so hard. It is absolutely hard to do this, but stay calm. Practice your hazard perception. Practice your road signs. Just anything that you can get, just practice. I remember going on the app and finishing all the tests on the app, and then heading to YouTube, watching the videos, because sometimes some road signs can be like hard to remember and they're so close on this. When I tell you that videos helped me, they really did. And they put it sometimes in like a nicer form for you to remember and stuff like that. So therefore check out YouTube. Yeah. Anyway, so you go to test center and you pass. If you didn't pass, don't worry, you can rebook. You can always rebook. Just make sure that you brush up on the areas. Pay keen attention to where you failed on. So, for example, if the theory test has two parts, obviously it's a hazard perception and then the normal other questions that you would have answered. So there's a certain pass mark for each section, right? So just look at where you failed, where you fell down on, and brush up on those, and that just gives you time to really get familiar with the road code. If you pass though, then that means that you can now move to your next step, which is the practical test. After you've completed the theory test, you have 2 years in the UK to pass that practical test. If you don't pass that practical test within the 2 years, then you have to redo your theory test. But we don't want that, because then they would just be wasting money in it. So you have 2 years from that date to pass it. You can do it in 2 years. You definitely can. Start practicing. Get a driving instructor. I know that there's some people who practice with their family members and stuff, but there's some practices that family members will pass on to you that are not necessarily correct. And there's some steps and stages that they won't teach you, right? So for example, mirror, signal, maneuver. There are little steps that when you learn with a professional driving instructor, they will tell you, versus when you learn with like a family friend or your family or whatever. There are some things that some bad habits that they develop over time while driving, and they may pass it to you, and it may be the reason why you fail on your actual practical test. So I would recommend that even if you do practice with your family members and stuff, just to get a bit of practice in, do have a few or as much as you can lessons with an actual driving instructor. Let them tell you the maneuvers, and when you practice with your family and friends, then you can actually know what to do, what maneuvers to do, what order you do them in, and what the instructors are looking out for. Assuming that you literally just passed your theory and now you have 2 years to pass the practical and you have never driven. So I would say just like asking around and doing research on what driving instructor works best for you. You should know whether you prefer male or female. If that doesn't matter, then you should know whether pricing matters for you or whatever else matters. Like, do your research and get, recommended people who have proven track record of doing amazing, of being good at teaching, right? And not just wasting your money. Cool. Driving lessons range from like 25 to 35 and up, depending on who you're going to go with. So definitely do your research. Your driving instructor should, and even you should feel when you're near ready, right? But due to the fact that, again, COVID has happened and there is a backlog of tests and stuff, I would say like it is okay to go ahead now and start booking like your practical test, because you can still change the date. Again, whenever you book it, it will tell you which date is the last date that you can change the test. I always put on my calendar and put like a reminder for it, like 3 weeks before that time, 2 weeks, 1 week, just because I want to make sure that if I don't feel ready, I give myself enough time to book something else, right? So because of COVID, as I said, you may find that the waiting period right now for like a practical test is 5 months, 6 months. So if you know that by the 6 months you should be ready, then book one ahead, book one now, and then obviously you assess yourself and your driving instructor, and you will decide whether you want to proceed with that date or you want to change it. Obviously, to book your practical test, you have to pay again. So you pay to do your theory, and you pay also to book your practical. When you're booking your practical, obviously you will need your certificate, your past theory certificate. You will need that, and you will obviously need your card and stuff. It may ask you to put in your postcode again, and you can then select which test center you want to book it at. All right, and do your research on test centers, because it's the routes that you gotta know. Your driving instructor should ask you what test center, or you guys should decide before you even go to book it, what test center and what time and date, because you don't want it to like happen where you book a test center and you book a date and your driving instructor is not free for that date, and he probably doesn't even know the test route himself. So just make sure that everything is planned out. All right, after you've done all those steps and you have booked and you've driven and you have practiced and you now know the route, the test routes, and you're driving and you feel comfortable and you're about to go do the test now. So say you're in a situation where it's 1 week before your test. Listen, one, re-watch some theory tips. So why? Yes, you've passed your theory test already, but you see, that's information sometimes you forget, because sometimes we SWOT for the theory and we learn all the things and then we go do the theory test. Once we pass, it's out of our heads. The person who's going to administer the driving test, they will be looking out for you. So if you see a sign, national speed limit, for example, you don't build up in time, that could be a minor fault. Or if you delay somebody, so you causing like harm, that could be a major fault. Listen, make sure that you know the signs, the codes, make sure you know what they mean. So definitely go rewatch a few of the theory videos so that you get your brain up to speed. Make sure you practice anything that you are not comfortable with. Most times these are usually the maneuvers, so the parallel parking, the reverse bay parking, all those things. Make sure you practice them, and make sure you practice them in different environments. So in probably one day practice it and it was like a busy road, good. Practice it then, so you get the pressure of probably people behind you waiting and you have to do this maneuver and you have to make sure it's correct. Practice then. Practice when it's a quiet road, because you don't know on the day what it's gonna be like, right? You want to practice when it's raining, practice when it's sunny, because you still need to know how to use the car itself. So whether you want to turn on your windscreen wiper, demist your back screen and stuff like that. Like, practice in every single weather condition, especially if you're in the UK. You know that you can go from 0 to 100 quick, so make sure you practice. Yeah, rewatch the videos on the show me tell me questions that they will ask you. Sometimes that's where you mess up on, and don't forget, like, a show me tell me question is not a major fault. I am a firm believer that first impressions last. The show me tell me questions, those are at the very beginning of your test. And if it's a case where you don't know it, that kind of leaves a bad impression on you, because then as an examiner, I would be like, you knew you had a test coming up and the first thing I ask you don't know. Like, this person is not prepared. And you don't know. I'm not saying that they will have that impression going throughout, but we're human and we tend to be biased. Like, sometimes if I get the first impression of somebody's wrong, then I just have that whole impression of them for the entire time. You don't want that, because you want everything on your side that day. So make sure that you practice the show me tell me question. Make sure that you have mock exams. So that is, mock exams are where like your driving instructor actually comes and instead of teach you that day, they pretend like you're on the actual test. From they pick you up to when you come back home, you're on the actual test. Now they're gonna mark you down for your maneuvers, your mirrors, how to use a car, and all different sorts of stuff. Have as many of those as you can. It will give you a sense of how it will feel on the test. You want to know how you are as a driver. You want to know what you're not doing wrong, like what you're not doing right? You want to know where you are, because if your test is in a week now, surely you should be able to pass this, because come on, we should only be brushing up right now to do whatever we got to do in a week's time. All right, so yeah, you want to make sure that you have mock exams. Another thing, when you fail the mock exams now, not the real thing. So when you fail the mock exams, do not be disheartened. Now is the time to fail. You listen, it's better you fail the mock exams and know what you messed upon so that you can practice until you get it. Right? You don't want to be like passing the mock exam and then go fail the actual driving thing. No. The actual thing is where the focus should be on. So the mock exams, if you have a question, ask. If you've completed it and you don't feel confident in doing something, say to your instructor that actually, can we do that again? I do that a lot with my instructor. I did a lot with him. I was like, okay, I'm not confident in this. I know you said like I've done that correctly, but I am not sure I fully grasped what I just did. It just happened. And I am not confident. So can I do this 2 more times? And I don't want you to say anything. That's how I used to like say to him. I said, yo, be quiet now. Don't tell me nothing. I need to do this. And when I park up, tell me where I went wrong or tell me whatever. And that's how I learned. I used to let him make me make the mistakes. Because if he corrects me before I even made a mistake, I wouldn't even know what I would be doing wrong. So let me make the mistake and then, yeah, cool. Right. So if you fail on the mock test, it's fine. You don't have to worry about it. It's not the end of the world. It's actually a learning curve for you, and now's the time to be learning, right? Cool. All right, next. You see, the night before, what I found extremely helpful was watching videos where I actually saw people on their test days doing either mock test, that 1 hour 1 hour lesson that you do before you actually go to the test centers. I found it so helpful to watch others doing that and then seeing the results afterwards. I watched videos where persons were doing their 1 hour driving thing, and then they left the instructor, went to go do the test and came back with the results. Why? Because it showed you how nervous they were. So then that kind of gives you a bit of confidence to think, okay, I'm not alone. I am very nervous, and she was as well and she passed, or he was as well and he passed. Those things really helped me. And watching videos of others like telling their story or even vlogs, oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how it helped. I guess it's the comfort of knowing that somebody else was in that same position. Somebody else was feeling the way you did. That helps so much. That calmed me, man. So, and I don't know if anyone of you have seen the vlog I did before I did my practical test as well. That really helped somebody else as well. Matthew, if you're watching, hello. But that really like helped him as well. And listen, when you comment and everybody is saying good luck and everybody's praying for you, trust me, it just makes you feel so much more confident, give you like a boost of confidence that you need. And then in those comments as well, somebody may drop a tip that you might have forgotten. On my test, I remember I was in the wrong lane. So obviously, if you're not doing the independent driving, where the sat nav tells you where to go, and you're just in the car with the instructor will say to you, most occasions, they will say to you, if I don't tell you to turn, continue straight. Now, that was what she had said to me on my test. I continue straight, right? But I ended up in a lane that was only left turn, right? So that means I had no straight going. And if I were to come over into the other lane, it was already too late because I was at a major junction, right? And I remember watching a video just before the night before going to the test in the morning. And in the video, they were saying the instructor was telling their candidate that, listen, remember, if you're in the wrong lane, continue in the wrong direction. They cannot mark you down for going the wrong way. What they will mark you down is if you drive unsafe. And sometimes it is unsafe to change lanes when it's too late. And as I said, I was at the junction already. It was already too late. So I couldn't have changed lanes. So I just literally carried on going left. When I reached back to the test center and I had passed, she said to me, I am so happy that you carried on going the wrong way. Because had you come over into the lane, you would have failed literally on your way back to the test center. And that's what she said. A lot of people always fail when they are either 5 minutes into the test or the last 5 minutes of the test. You don't want to be that. Because the worst thing for me is, especially if you've been driving good for the entire thing, because normally a test is about 35-40 minutes. So say it's 40 minutes test, yeah, and you've been driving great for the 35. Knowing that you failed in the last 5 minutes, like so close to home, is the most annoying thing. It is annoying. And I can tell you because I failed my first time in the last 5 minutes of my test. One thing I messed up on, I went on the curb and I did not correct it. That's another thing. Know what you are allowed to do on your test. Okay? No. And when I say no, remember it. Because I remember my driving instructor saying to me, if you go on a curb, they won't fail you directly. It's if you stop and don't like readjust it, you don't fix it, they will fail you for that. Well, if you even hit the curb or you go over on it and you're like, okay, I'm not finished, let me just correct it, and you go forward and correct it, then you're good. Tell me why on my test I went on the curb and I was fully aware, don't get me wrong. It's not like I didn't notice. I was fully aware that I was on the curb and I didn't correct it. The last 5 minutes, guys, when I tell you that I was hurt, I cried. July 26th, I shall never forget. I absolutely cried because you see, if it was a case where I drove badly for the entire time, then fair enough. But that was not the case. And when the instructor, when the examiner reached back to who went back to the driving test, as I said, it was like the last 5 minutes. So after I'd done that maneuver, I had already finished my independent driving. I'd already finished, yeah, it was just that. And then we went back to the test center. And he said to my instructor, he's like, she failed for one thing. And I sat there waiting and hoping that she would have corrected it, and she didn't. Hearing that, when the guy, so that means that he knew that I had the ability to pass. But obviously that for them is a major fail. It's a major, it's a serious fault. So he had to fail me. But I'm still grateful that I failed that day because I feel like I'm much more confident now on the road. I guess me failing made me realize that, okay, Ro, you gotta learn everything. I literally went back and relearned everything. Eat. You want to make sure that you're confident, man. Make sure that you have booked in with your driving instructor to come pick you up an hour before so that you can, warm up yourself, do a bit of driving, do a bit of practicing of the maneuvers or any areas where you're not confident. And then, like, when you go to the test center, make sure that you are friendly. Make sure that you are, they come over and you say good morning or good evening, whatever time it is. And just make sure that you are friendly, man. Because as I said, first impression is last, And even if they seem grumpy, yeah, don't worry about it. Just make sure that you're focusing on what you need to do. Make sure that you're vigilant. Make sure that you're watching your speed. Oh my gosh, because listen, they can literally stop you for speed and tell you to go back because it's COVID. So you might not be able to finish your full test, all right? So make sure you watch your speed and just make sure you brush up on all the other areas that you know you need to brush up on. But that was a gist of overall things that you would need to do for a driving license in the UK. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope that you learned something if you didn't know as yet. I hope this video was helpful, and as I said, if you are new here, please do subscribe. Please turn on your post notifications, and guys, please binge watch my videos so I can get those watch hours in so that your girl can be monetized. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.